And same time. For that. Let's go see what you said. I wish I could hear. The other processing was this time of the year is when we do all our notices. Outside companies process those for us. So at the first of the year that we use towards that money, we put it at the first of the year and we do it at the end. We had server that we had to repair. So most of it is things that the board has approved that we could do to upgrade, like I say, the website, 5-year program that we have to keep up with our homesteads, to make sure everybody's signed up with the right thing. Yes, aerial photographs. Last year we started to fly them once a year, and that first thing was $135,000. Yeah, that pictometry, yes, sir. So those were the major expenses that hit all at once. Because right now for the first quarter about 4%, 3.8%. But it should balance out then.
The other question,
yes.
Now that generates some revenue for you with the pictometry, right?
The pictometry, what we do is we don't make revenue off of it basically. But the entities, all the entities, the school districts at all can use that to sign in. They don't have to buy it themselves. We did that several years ago to help the entities because they pay into our budget. So they get to use that. We have, it's on our report, how many people do we have to use that? Yeah, so we have 200. Yes.
Numbers.
Yeah. So it helps them, the school districts, some places use it. So different cities and entities use it, yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a good investment because used to we all individually.
Oh, yeah, and before that it was so
Well, never 2 years. This is better. This is better for the whole county.
At a county level, so.
Yeah, same as
Is that program something that you, the pictometry program, do they do these right?
not that I know of, that they would ever let us have it.
So then they use our data in this when they come in to.
Yes.
So the less data we had available to them, would that be
They would,
better for the taxpayer?
they will find it out. That's all I'm saying.
I that just brought up a thought in my head. Maybe we don't need to make it so easy for them.
Any more questions, comments from the board? Okay, then the next item to pull off is the taxpayer liaison officer's report. Ginger, or where's Ginger? Do you want to give us a brief recap of what you've done, or just approve it? It's up to you.
Yeah.
no comments noted. Go ahead.
Well, it's just since, I've sort of prepared a little thing and stuff, but since it's on the website, the button, I'm getting many calls and emails, more than what the previously liaison officer had for the whole year. I haven't been hitting that front yet.
Oh,
So, I
I'm not surprised.
answered a lot of questions and directed them.
So,
It's, well, did you get the report?
yes.
And that was just from, I received the phone, and it was on the website on May 1st through the 8th. And so I got numerous after that, the deadline, through turn the proof. So It's worked very well, everybody's very appreciative.
Yeah, I tell my comments that some things are moving in the right direction for us. So let me ask a related question. Do you feel the compensation is appropriate we ask for you, given the level of effort?
Okay, have you been keeping a log of how many hours a day you're actually putting into this job? Because that is a useful metric for us to justify giving you more money. Because, my background, for 10 years I had a job where I worked 24 hours a day. I was on call all the time. And, I would shake that in everybody's face whenever I wanted to leave.
This is a little different because it's not like you're on the ARB, you have so many set hours or whatever, you're kind of, it just depends. We had a meeting with a previous complaint that was before I came on board and then my vision for this is a lot more than what has been done in the past, okay?
Yes.
And some of the things that I wanted to talk about is we need to, after the tax season is the deadline to protest, will probably slow down on calls, but it could pick up because then when people start protesting, they may have questions. But I want to go visit like the civic clubs in the county and kind of give them if we had a video, give them an overview of what is needed and what taxpayers need to know. I want to do things like this. And even our local Johnson County radio stations, talk to them about the process. Taxpayers don't understand.
And I would love to go with you on some of those,
Yes.
because that's really one of the vines. And I worry that if things get as hot as I've heard from a number of people, somebody's going to do something crazy, and we don't need crazy. Crazy's not my thing. And I would like to get everybody informed and up to speed on what's going on.
And I plan on attending periodically during the month the ARB meetings. We have a couple of new board members, and to answer questions or make comments or something. Not during the hearings, but to help them. And so that's what I'm saying. I mean,
You're just getting started.
I'm just getting started, so we're building. Because this was not, since that liaison is on the website, people are calling me before they call customer service, which is okay, because I can kind of help them steer them what they need to do, or, so, good question.
I was just gonna make a comment that maybe we could review the website and make sure that it's more clearly directed to customer service before taxpayer liaison. And I know that taxpayer liaison is more prominent now on the website, which is great, but I'm not sure, I don't recall how well defined it is, or if it guides the taxpayers on when they need to use you versus when they just need to call customer service.
A lot of them have issues of how to process online, okay?
Yes, I read some of your comments,
Yes, and so they were going to the wrong place or whatever, and so.
some of it was IT issues
Yes,
and
yes.
things like that, so, we'd like them to call customer service first and really know more how to utilize the taxpayer liaison, so that's something we can really define for our audience, basically. And I agree with John, if you would just please maybe give us an estimate of the hours it's taken you the last month, and then also kind of keep a log going forward. I think that would be good to fairly compensate.
Let's put that on the agenda for next month to reconsider Ginger's compensation.
And hopefully it'll slow down after this month, and everybody kind of, they only have a few more days.
It could, but then it could.
We'll see.
Those notices really increase the public.
Okay, thank you, Ginger. Any other questions, comments from the board? Sure.
Our former TLO has passed away, he passed away.
Oh, yes. I want you
Was a couple of weeks ago.
to.
We got a call on the 7th that he had passed away, and,
And is there a contribution fund for flowers,
we
family or anything?
will do something.
Yes, because.
Y'all have given us permission to do that if we haven't been. But he passed away, listening to his daughter he had some issues, and they wasn't expecting him. It came on kind of sudden. But he passed away on the 7th, so, he did very good at what he did at the time when it first started. Things have changed, and, but you might remember that family, Mr. Williams' family. But he did pass away on the 7th of May. That's all.
Anything else? Entertain a motion for consent agenda.
I move so.
Let's do a hands-off, all of the agreement. Then we can vote in your machine.
That's my internet all day. There's the vote button. There, okay, so vote for it. That's the notes. Is that?
Okay? All those recording. John, right on you need to vote electronically too.
Oh, so you're going to
You get to vote twice, I have to vote for the same vote.
I have to do it another way.
Send it. Vote, show of hands and vote, vote.
Yeah, good. I'm on the right meeting. Maybe we lose, but I'm good.
Well, that's a sure. Yes, get brought to adjourn.
Oh, man. What am I doing? Good for buddy.
Broke it. No, sure.
And a lot of times that's what people do first. That's how the book.
Next item on the agenda is the Xerox copier lease.
Yes, sir. Our lease on our old copies, we've got 2 of them. We've got one upstairs and one downstairs. Our leases come up, so we can get 2 new ones copiers. Basically the same for $13 cheaper. We're going to split some of the colored copies from downstairs to upstairs. We're just asking to get a new copier. We use our copiers quite a bit. And that's all that is just one, our old lease ran out, and we're asking for our new one. 48 months, it's a 4-year lease.
So your
Same little
base price, it can
Yep.
good for all 4 years.
Yes, sir. And then we watch to make sure we don't go over our color as much as we can. Some months we do, then we're slow. That's what we were thinking.
What is our threshold that we can approve, or how does that work? Some policies on that? What, is there a threshold, like, with the public entities, I know they have guidelines, but what are our guidelines?
We are subject to
Yeah, it's our policy, if it's over $50,000.
Over 50.
Yes.
And can you give the board that kind of policy?
Yeah.
So that we are educated?
Yes.
Yeah,
We'll get it to you.
and then, if we need something in some competitive market, this would be ready.
Okay, this is
Sure.
Okay, I don't think, this is just like going on with a vendor and just at the price will bet, that's great. Something new and different.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, those that, in favor of approving the lease, by show of hands. A motion to do electronic vote.
motion to approve the lease. 533.
Me too, when I think my iPad got too close to yours.
You want to spend it?
That's what's been going on all these years.
Already? Put in the password.
Our next item on the agenda is approved purchase of laptops.
Yes, sir. This is to get ready for, July when we get our new board members. Plus these iPads. Some people like them, some people don't, but they're strong. So we're asking that we get 10 new laptops. That's one for the board members, and one for me up here, and then it'll have the Microsoft Office on it. So the cost would be right at $10,000, and we'll have them ready for July. And then maybe we won't have this problem with, we'll get you a mouse or something so you can move it. Make it a little easier.
The total on the,
It's 10,000.
10,762.
I noticed the bidder usually sent out bidders list.
Yes.
So did we have just one bid or did we have multiple?
Yeah, well, when you can go through that and the state bids all the way out.
Yes, sir, I understand that, but we only see this
Yes.
system, this vendor's
System
bid.
concept.
Yes, we only see this vendor's bid.
Yeah, they,
So were there more bids, or did
No,
we
no, ma'am.
only receive one bid?
and they do a lot of our software
Okay.
in the office. And
I was asking because it says that it came in through the central bidder list, CMPL.
they put that up there, you can go out and look at that. He goes out there and looks at that, and he has to redo it each year. We can go out and get more bids.
You didn't, okay, that's what I was
No,
asking.
no.
Posted, okay.
If it's under that 50,000, a lot of times we don't post it in the newspapers. Don't have.
I mean, it seems like a reasonable price.
This is just my own work. I'm gonna hate any computer. Because I spent my entire career working with computers.
I get it.
And they never failed to disappoint me. So
They all do.
if you're buying one from me, I don't care. I'm just gonna learn to hate the new one too. So, we just do really simple stuff with it. I mean, all we're doing is.
Well, we can reuse these some in the office too for some things. So it's not,
and down.
It's not gonna, I mean, these are older because he's had problems with his. Yeah, I hear him just trying to get hooked up.
But you're gonna use them for something else.
I'm not gonna throw these away. No, sir.
Now
We
you're
can use them, we use them. We use a lot of our iPad, I mean, our computers in the office for 8, 10 years. We don't change out in 5 years or 3 years like a lot of people recommend.
No.
That was my other question, how old are our computers? So,
These right here,
is this what we're replacing?
yes, 9 years,
These are 9 years old.
yes. Yeah, we have it.
Yeah.
Yes.
As long as they're going somewhere to work.
All right, take a motion to approve the purchase of laptops.
Second.
We'll move first.
I thought you were done.
Entertain a motion.
I moved it. Moved it, let's see, like.
Okay. All in favor, raise your hand, please, so the audience knows how we vote. And vote on the favor. Those in? Next item on the agenda is to discuss the proposed 2025 budget. That was mentioned today. Jessica redid it. We can discuss it tonight, but to dig into it, I've got lots of questions. We'll be here really late, or we can have a special meeting, perhaps June the 9th.
Yes.
Then we have a single agenda item, the budget workshop. What are your thoughts, what are your preferences?
I went to look at it today and there wasn't an attachment when I went to review it, so.
I'm not
It's the
even-
first time I'm seeing it.
I didn't know it was fixing the thing that you caught.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we bring it, to the board in the past, 1 month, and then this gives you time to look at it. If we have this special meeting, we can, tweak and move things, and then, the calendar shows we have to have it out by June 15th to the entities. This is proposed because we have to do our budget a year in advance of everybody else. So if y'all, Mr. Billing, talked about having that meeting on the 6th so we could dig into it more, because you've only seen it for a little bit. We were trying to get it together. We do this every year, and then the next month they talk about it. So y'all pull it back and look at it next month, but might be better.
So your thoughts about having another meeting on the 6th of budgets, anybody, what are your comments, thoughts? Okay, then we'll just pass over this tonight, and reconvene on the 6th. Here, I assume?
They were running for it.
Yeah.
Next item, PowerPoint presentation. This is a presentation that I have worked on along with input from Jim, Jessica, Amy, Attorney Bruce. So that the idea is to educate taxpayers. It is not about just the CAD, it's about property taxes involved. Now the CAD, the tax, all of it fits together. I have found that most people really don't understand the system. They can feel better, but if they understood the system, I think they would at least be more comfortable if they have to protest, they kind of know what to do. And then there's gonna be a follow-on presentation, I think we're gonna work on one, how to prepare for the protest. So anyway, this presentation, I talked to Jim about it. I think we agreed it's probably not a good idea for the staff to give a presentation, get the group wants it. The staff gives it, they know a lot, the board of directors don't know a lot. So they're gonna try to take you down a rabbit hole. I've got a complaint, I'm worried about this, what I do about that. We're gonna wanna talk about appraisal. The board cannot discuss the appraisal with any individual. That's a criminal act. So, they might want to, they don't care. I am not gonna do it. Anything to get exposed myself to a criminal prosecution. So if we do it, then we have the opportunity to engage taxpayers and educate the taxpayers without the problem of some disgruntled taxpayer taking over the meeting and making it a complaint session for them. So what do you guys think? Would you be interested in getting the presentation?
I'm confused as to words about, is it us doing the presentation?
Yes. You or Amy or Scott? I'm not Scott, but you're the tax guy. I'm not getting to you too. Dan, Toby, and myself. So,
They already got after me.
yeah.
I already been to a meeting, been there, done that.
But the idea was that a group, I don't care if it's a taxing entity, a garden club, a book club, whatever, if they want to see this presentation, they contact the CAD, they'll contact one of us to see if we're available to give the presentation. So I think the question is, who, and I've got the presentation. What I will do is sit down with each of you individually. Bruce, do I have to do that one at a time, or could we do it as a group? Or?
That would probably be a whole business. So if you want to do it. If you want to be sent out and they have questions, that is, but actually you meet with the forum and discuss it, that would not, that would be exactly.
Which wouldn't be a bad idea if we had a meeting to go over it, because then people can come and they would actually see it as we're going over it, and they might have ideas. There's something to have with it.
That would be the same.
Yeah. Y'all want to come and see the presentation? Yeah, okay, I did another question. I've been approached by a whole lot of people asking specific questions, and this is my answer. I am not going to give you an answer because it's against the law. But here's where you can look on the appraisal district's website and read the document that you were given. Because there are things there that are going to help you with what you're doing. And I hope that this presentation points that up to people, because they continually ask me questions that are answered on the papers that they're given. And so I really don't understand anything. Because if you know where to look, it's find answers.
This is a high-level overview. Bruce's advice, maybe at the risk of making the budget meeting go longer. What do you guys think? Do we go with that? Be on if I go through presentation style, probably 20 minutes.
It's something that intensive. It's like as you said, it's a high level overview. Just talk about the process. It's
Similar to what you did, the King Chamber of
it's
Commerce.
actually more higher overview than what I drilled down on. We drilled down on some of the individual topics. This doesn't get that specific.
Something keeps coming up And this may not be the right time to ask, but I can ask this because you must be bringing this up. We get questions all the time from the taxpayers now regarding their appraisals. And I thought, my understanding was, we are not allowed to influence the appraisal.
Well, you cannot talk about appraisals with staff
Yes. That was my understanding.
outside of the company.
Okay, that's my understanding, but my understanding is not that if the public calls
You
me,
can talk to the public, but really you don't have the information the public needs.
Yeah.
So that conversation is not necessarily a helpful conversation. It's not necessarily a criminal conversation, but it's not necessarily helpful.
sometimes it is guiding.
But if
them
someone
like,
talks to you and asks you to talk to Jim, that's a criminal conversation.
Yeah.
Yes,
Does that make sense?
that makes sense, but if I tell them to go pull your neighbor's comparable properties,
That's just fine.
that's just information,
Yeah, that's just,
so,
anybody can talk.
don't scare me.
Yeah.
No, you can't,
This conversation.
It's like those, yeah.
Yeah,
you can't intercede on their behalf.
right, I mean, that's clear.
So you can tell them who you'll talk to. All right, so we'll cover that PowerPoint presentation quickly in the budget session on the 6th.
So let's do that first, so that as people slowly die, as we go through each line of the budget, they can keep up the board.
Makes sense. All right, the next item on the agenda is non-agenda, public communications. I have a number of speakers. We each have 3 minutes, and the board will not answer questions or interact with you. We just want to, we'll hear what you have to say. In 3 minutes, Jessica's going to set an alarm. 3 minutes is up. I'll give you about 5 seconds to wrap up real quick, and we appreciate your input. All right, first one I have here is Fernando Rodriguez.
Can't get it.
All right, that's it.
All right. So my name is Fernando Rodriguez. I represent Acles and I own several businesses. You know, last year I got my taxes raised. Some of my properties up to over 250%, almost 300%. I filed a protest, and I still finally yesterday got a hearing date. So my question is for you guys: when do you guys set a limit for a hearing date? Because on the other hand, if I don't pay my property taxes, I guarantee you, you guys will be foreclosing on my property. My question for you guys: are we going to foreclose on the rest of the district? I know the answer to that, but I just want you to see it from our side. So another thing is, even though I protested those properties, and I just got the appraisals again, and I have not even had a hearing date. Well, I'm sorry, I have the hearing date here, but I already got my appraisals for this year, which was actually higher again. So I hope this is not a personal thing that they're targeting me. One of my properties, which I got the appraisal right here, went up 250%. It's an empty lot. Somebody illegally dumped concrete in there. And you should be crazy about it, don't it?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that I've been punished for it? So guys, we need to do something about it. It's getting out of hand. As you can see, this room is full. One property, for instance, $70,349 went up to $175,000. Empty lot. With concrete that now I gotta get rid of. How's that? I would like to know if there is a glitch in the system, and with all due respect, somebody's taking the wrong medication, or what's wrong with our operations. Something needs to change here, guys. We cannot continue allow this to happen. I still, like I said, I still gotta pay for these properties for last year. 100 to 300, almost 200% went up last year. So I would like you to explain that to us. How is that possible? I know you guys can answer those questions, but we'd like to explain to the general public how in the world can you increase property tax without an explanation? It should be a cap, a limit for how much you guys can do. And I just, you know what? Now I can just increase the price for that. You know, I find out that somebody is making about $250,000 here collecting our property taxes. And I have a local business guy losing their business because they cannot afford to pay for property taxes. I have local citizens that have money invested in here losing their properties.
It's time.
This next speaker is Gary Estes. Mr. Estes, you're on the phone.
Okay. Okay. One thing I wanted to say is I just wanted to address a little bit about the property taxes going up. I mean, if somebody comes in and way overpays for an empty lot, they have to go on comparable to, is how they'll come up with your tax value is on comparable sales. And if somebody right by you overpays, like that 7-Eleven on Henderson, they paid $1 million for that lot. And that affected everybody around there. I mean, we have a business there, and it affected us. And, you know, I mean, it doesn't seem right that you can't stop what people are going to come in and pay. And the appraisal district does not set the valuation rate. They have to go with comparable sales around, and the state makes them do that. And if the appraisal district is 5% over or 5% under on their valuations, the state will come in and start taking money from our schools. So the appraisal district, their hands are kind of tied on what, I mean, it goes by what property sells for. Really, you know, it is what it is. It's math is all it is. And, you know, people talk about want to, you know, get rid of the sales tax. You know, you can't make it too low because then, again, the state will come in and take care of it that way. I mean, they're going to get their money, but you couldn't do a sales tax instead, because that would disproportionately affect lower income people. It would be more of their income for sales tax. You couldn't do an income tax, state income tax, because of the same thing. People would be paying taxes that didn't already have taxes. And renters, especially if you were to get rid of the property tax, because they're already paying that, it's built into their rental fee, and if it was reduced, the landlords are not going to lower their rent. You just would pay the same, and it would be added into it. And you know, and the other thing is the system we have now. Nobody may like the way it is, but you have the opportunity to go down and talk to them, and a lot of times they will help you out by going with your change. Not always, but sometimes they will. And if you were to put it in the hands of the state, you got nothing to say. You know, call the IRS and tell them that your taxes are too high. Can you pay a little bit less? But that's not right. And they're not going to hear it. But you at least have, you know, you have the liaison that you can go down and talk to, and the ARB board that you can talk to and possibly get it reduced. And again, it doesn't always happen. I mean, I went down and they told me you got a good deal, be happy. You know, so, I mean, that happens, but still, I just can't see making a change that's not beneficial to everybody. You know, that's not going to help everybody. If it's not going to help everybody, we should leave it alone.
Thank you, Mr. Estes.
I didn't say what we wanted to hear. And I'll explain to you our bill we had.
Next speaker is Tim Coffey.
Good evening. Last month, I asked this board to consider transitioning property reappraisals from the current annual basis to once every 3 years, as the law allows. I'm disappointed to see that there is no such discussion item related to that issue on this month's agenda. That itself speaks volumes to me as to the mindset, perhaps. Between last month's meeting and tonight, I spoke with Mr. Jeff Hutt, who is the chairman of the Aransas County Appraisal Board. Aransas County is transitioning from conducting property reappraisals on an annual basis to once every other year. Mr. Hutt said that he encountered opposition to transitioning to once every 3 years because if the CAD doesn't fall within a range of at least 95% of the previous year's tax revenue, then the comptroller may require the taxing entities, the school districts, and counties, and so forth, to return money to the state. Mr. Hutt told me that he is inclined to believe that many property reappraisals across the state are based less on actual property values that are supported by recent comparables of actual sold property and more on the maximum amount that each individual appraisal district is able to legally assess. Now, if that's the case here in Johnson County, as is the perception of many Johnson County residents, then we have some serious issues that need to be addressed and resolved. I know that having to return funds to the state can impose hardship on those taxing entities, but because those funds seem to have been derived from the inflated assessment of property values, that hardship is not nearly as great as the one placed on property, many of them are barely able to pay their tax bill every year. Now think about it. If Johnson County taxpayers are being taxed based on the maximum amount the law allows as opposed to legitimate sales comparables, then they are in effect being overtaxed. And if that's the case, how many years has this been going on? If the taxing entities who have for years been building their annual budgets on funds supplied to them by an overtaxed citizenry because of inflated property value, if those entities are required to adjust and control their budgets as opposed to asking the CAD to drain more and more money out of the taxpayers' pockets every year, then I don't feel too bad about expecting those entities to find a way to live within their means. I hope that we will see this item on your June agenda for discussion, but if not, then it's clear that you have underestimated the determination of those Johnson County citizens who feel as though they've been abused, unheard, and dismissed by those of you who, for too long, may have been contemptuous of our concerns. And that, my friends, will only accelerate the growth of this movement, an activist movement that is resolved to do whatever it takes to fix this broken system. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. JoCo. Next is Kevin G.
My name's Kevin G. Longtime resident here in Cleveland Forever Road. My comment is on the actual appraisal process from the beginning to the end. Some of the y'all probably have control over it. Now, I'm just gonna cover that. From the moment you are not happy with your appraisal and you go in the front door, you're discouraged. You talk to the person, whoever you have right there, and like in my last time, they said, well, we don't do that everything that way it's happening. And so I still want to speak to an informal. So the informal, I have evidence. If the informal, the person wouldn't even really consider the evidence. We just don't do that. We tax all of that. So that bothers me because the code says they have a duty to take into consideration everything affecting the value of the property that they appraise. They're not doing that, especially in my case. And it seems like the process is to discourage you from even protesting because it's like it's a dead end. And then from there, it's like I don't know if y'all have any control of this, but the protest process. The last time I went, I had to stand in the hallway, look into a door, the podium no bigger than this. For all my evidence, couldn't even see all of them. Some of us have to read lips when we listen a little bit. And see the screen and all that. And prior to that, this was way after COVID, it wasn't through COVID. But prior to that, you could go sit at the table and see the screens, listen to what they said, listen to them talk back and forth to the appraiser. Because I have a right established by code to examine the evidence the appraiser presents and cross-examine anything said or done. I have that right. That shouldn't be taken away from anybody. It's got to be in there to be able to do it. So that's my main thing is whatever y'all's ability is to control the process from beginning to end, where it begins, where it ends, to not discourage people from protesting. Or to at least examine the evidence and give you a true ruling on what you're being presented. Not just so it won't happen. You know, that's all I.
Next is Joanne Randy. Is that correct?
for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Donna Briding. My husband and I have been owners of Dawson County for 22 years. I stand before you to share a pressing concern that affects not only my family, but also many others in our community. Our property taxes have reached an unsustainable level, threatening our ability to keep a home. The burden of these high taxes has become overwhelming, leaving us with limited options. As responsible owners, we have diligently paid our dues, but escalating costs are pushing us to the brink. Additionally, we had planned essential renovations on our property to maintain the property's value and enhance our living conditions. Unfortunately, the exorbitant tax burden has made it impossible for us to proceed with these renovations. We find ourselves caught in a difficult situation where we must choose between paying taxes and maintaining our home. Furthermore, we cannot afford to purchase the necessary materials to complete our kitchen renovation. Our current makeshift setup, using folding tables and plug-in appliances, is far from ideal. As a family, we dream of having a functional kitchen with proper appliances, but the financial strain prevents us from achieving this. We have not been able to host Thanksgiving or Christmas gatherings for 6 years due to COVID, and also insurance and property taxes raising so much. We purchased the property to create a base for our family and to have a place for our kids and grandkids to come into. 8 years left before we pay it off. That dream is in jeopardy. In addition to the kitchen, we faced another challenge: the exterior of our home. The siding is stoneworker damage, compromising the structural integrity and curb appeal. Unfortunately, the cost of repairs is beyond our means, leaving us in a precarious situation. It's disheartening that homeowners like us are forced to make these difficult choices, which ultimately the property is becoming run down, and the appearance of our homes directly impacts the overall aesthetics of Wilson County. I implore you to consider the human impact of these rising property taxes. Families like ours face the real possibility of losing their homes, the very foundation of stability and security. Our community deserves fair and reasonable taxation that allows us to thrive without sacrificing our homes. Thank you very much.
Next, David Black.
I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity to speak on a subject that's important to me. That is protection from unequal taxation. That is enshrined in the Texas Constitution, Article 8. The district values land separately from improvements. We use a system that categorizes land by size. For example, category A0 is for lots 0 to 2.99 acres. B3 is for lots 3 to 6.99 acres. For 2024, the district is increasing the land component of the appraised value for A0 from $50,000 an acre to $85,000 an acre, while B3 is increasing from $45,000 to $50,000 an acre. And unlike residential improvements, the district does not interpolate between values. Rather, these are like sharp thresholds. For example, I own 2800 County Road 920. The home site immediately north is 2.96 acres, categorized A0. Its 2024 land value is $252,000, up 70% from its 2023 value of $148,000. On the other hand, the home site across the street to the south is slightly larger, 3.19 acres, but it's valued significantly lower at $160K, up only 11% from $144K in 2023. The district's opinion of the value of the properties does not stand up to even casual scrutiny. Two otherwise identical pieces of land, one slightly over 3 acres, one slightly under 3 acres, but the smaller of the two, by roughly a quarter of an acre, is valued $92,000 higher. Does that sound like equal taxation, as those terms are used in the Constitution? I would call it a perfect example of unequal taxation stemming from unequal appraisal. A0 land in this area has increased 70% in valuation from 2023 to 2024, after increasing 100% from 2021 to 2022. A total of 240% increase over 3 years. from 25,000 per acre to 85,000 per acre. 2.96 acres of land is somehow worth more than 5 acres of otherwise identical land. To whom? Exactly. Does anyone really think that there are people who will pay a premium to buy less land even though we tax at a higher rate? It's well established that housing prices have increased significantly in the last 4 or 5 years. It's also well established that the increases were driven by a combination of factors. Availability was poor, demand was high, building materials prices shot up in the wake of COVID.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next is William, Garrett,
Excuse me. Yes, thank you. There you go. Excuse me. I would like to say that I prefer that my quality of life not be changed due to paying higher taxes. I'm a senior citizen, I'm on a fixed income, I get Social Security, and plus right now I can't afford to pay to return to work because I'm one of my mother's primary caregivers. So there are multiple factors behind this. It's not just people wanting the regular quality of life they currently have. And also, I would like for the board to consider making your database more user-friendly, so that you won't have to go multiple places to compare when you're looking for comparable properties to your own. So if you're gonna make presentations to someone, you wanna compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges, and know where to find those oranges that don't look like pears. And also, when you get to the information and you're going from one property to another, I'm concerned with the inconsistencies of various properties. I don't understand, as a non-realtor, as a non-appraiser, how you arrive at some of the evaluations, the appraisals. And if I'm concerned for myself, I'm concerned for my neighbors and other people, whether they're working, having children, or whatever. And I'd also like to be able to understand what structural changes you refer to when my appraisal has gone up so much. I have a retaining wall that needs to be repaired, and I haven't been able to afford to do that. And since my last evaluation, I haven't made any structural changes. So it makes me wonder, did someone pull a rabbit out of a hat? And also, looking at this and knowing how the cost of living has gone up nationally. And this area is even worse because so many people are coming from all over the United States. And one of the last things I want to say is, if I could afford to return to work right now, I would do it. But because I'm one of my mother's primary caregivers, I don't.
Next speaker, Steve Madlin.
Yes, sir. What I have to present is actually on the opposite end of the spectrum. Fernando and many others have mentioned, extremely low taxations like 50% or more. The situation that I want to mention to you guys, to the board, and women here, is that there is a growing trend in this state, and even in Johnson County, of unscrupulous companies and individuals. They go out and they solicit, in some cases advertise, we'll give you a free stock tank in exchange for your materials. So where there was materials go. Now, I cannot reveal all my sources, but I am in contact with a lot of people, and a lot of people who call me, and I discuss things from time to time. I'm aware of one situation where it was not a stock tank. Instead, it was openly a pit mine quarry. Now, let's talk about this a little. So, it's not permitted. Mining Safety and Health Administration is not issued a mine ID, no inspections, no permits, and better yet, or worse yet, paying hardly no taxes on commercial operations and property. I know one situation that went on about a year, finally got shut down. But they lied to the Johnson County Development Board, and then they turned around and misrepresented to the Appraisal Review Board and called it a stock tank when, based on good, concrete, reputable sources, it was declared, and even the company declared it as a pit mine quarry. Now, ten people, I am now been made aware through a friend of another situation, same story. People go out, they ask what these people are going to do. Oh, it's going to be a stock tank. My advice to them, pay close attention. If you see hundreds of trucks, semi-trucks, carrying 100,000 pounds gross or more, what beats up our roads around here? Trucks or cars? Trucks, right? Yeah, we all know that. But one thing leads to another, right? So just the other day, some trucks, truck drivers, I don't know who they're with, independents, they're running around without any plates, no license plates on the trucks, and no license plates on the trailers. So, do they have a CDL? Okay. So, that's my concern, people paying no tax or staking on it.
Thank you. Sherry Hamilton?
Yes.
Be nice.
I'll be nice. I'm a local realtor here in Cleveland and have been for over 22 years. I'm the brokerage here. I ran one of the largest property management companies in Cleveland, of over 300 units. And I can drastically tell you what's going on. We're putting tenants on the streets daily. They cannot afford to live in my units. You're raising my properties and my owners, my investors over 100%. I'm going up over $200 to $300 a month on my tenants. They are having to commingle their families together to afford to survive in this community. And you think we don't have a homeless problem? We're going to have it worse than we do today. We have no low-income housing to put these people into when you move them out. And I'm the one that's dealing with it. I go down and protest with my owners, and let me tell you, it's intimidating. You don't intimidate me. I have all the facts. I've got all of it, and I bring it to every one of you people. But you people don't pay attention to it. You're very intimidating when we come up to you. And when it's true, we stand at a little bitty podium in a little corner, and all you people are in this big old room, and it's not very welcoming. And it's the truth. But I'm telling you today, you're affecting the low income of this community, and you're affecting the tenants. And that's what I'm here to tell you about. I'm also on the board of the Christmas in Action, a nonprofit that fixes up homes in this community. You know how many homeowners cannot pay their property taxes right now? So we can't help them. Because that's one of the qualifications to be able to work with our program. They can't afford to pay their property taxes. They can't afford to fix their homes up because their taxes are so high. So you're not helping the community. We're putting condemned properties out there. We're not fixing them. Period. And you're putting tenants on the street. So pay attention to what you're doing, because realtors like me are going to continue to bring the comps to you and show you that you're doing wrong. Woo.
Thank you for all your comments. Next item item on the agenda, staff reports.
I have a problem, I was taking notes and it's offline now and I cannot get my computer to get back online, so I'm interrupting.
Something I should have said. As long as you raise prices, you know how much inflation is going on. My brother's being with me. Please. People in there increase their own wages. It was with that. Oh, I don't have it. Where did you get that from? He's got some more information. So that's causing my baby more money. The judge that oversees the once you get out there, just give it take care of on the computer because that's the phone. You know, it's almost like a timed out or something.
Were you in a notes section?
So it just disappeared. Did you take notes from your?
I have some basic notes, I'll be glad to share them.
I make sure it's
I don't think you know, that'd be $10 a year.
no name.
Like just at mine. I was thinking names.
There was three comments. We scheduled to talk about those on this morning. How does that go?
Get it on the agenda for discussion.
Yeah, it would be best to drill down on particular concepts you want to discuss.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, just come up with a list of
I just need to know what
concepts.
to do.
Yeah, and then send it to Wayne, and Wayne will get it on the agenda.
Are we all technically?
I think so.
All right, we're down to board departmental reports.
I'll just remember, when I left office today, we had right at 7,200 protests. We're fixing to send out, in the next few days, business personal property notices. The mineral, appraisal notices have been sent out from the capital group that does that for us, and industrial will probably be right there along with the big industrial places, electric companies, and things like that. That every department is putting in settlement waivers and making sure protests get in. Like Amy said, we've had some glitches, and like the lady said, some of this is new to us, so we've had things happen, but we've been able to work it out and get people where they need to be on that. Be patient with us with that, and we will make it more friendly, user friendly, pretty friendly, but you gotta realize what you're looking at. But anytime that you need to call, the DLO is not the first. Call customer service and we'll put something out there to try to make that more clear. So the big thing right now is to have the hearings. They'll start on the May 23rd. Will be our first hearing day. We'll go to, we finish the work in progress. Things are going good. Amy will give you a report on phone calls. We've had lots of phone calls, lots of people come in. So we're working through that. Working through our lawsuits. That's a roundabout way that it is done. And but like I say, I checked right before I left. The ones that we got in, we got about 7,300 protests so far. We know we'll get more because the agents will, the tax agents that file protests, we were talking to one other day, some of the properties had gone down and they just said, we blanket file protest on everything we have. Then they'll withdraw it after we put it on. So, they'll do that, and they'll be going on hearings, we're going to have, we'll be busy this summer, and we know we're going to be busy.
So you're going to be around 10,000 by the time you're done?
It will be more than that. If it goes like in past years, it'll be 15 to 20,000. Because agents, like I say, the majority of them be agents. I mean, we're doing a lot of homeowner protests like we always do. But agents, some of the agents have brought 4,000 protests in one day. So, and some of them they'll withdraw 2 or 3 weeks later. So we have a lot of that. So we're ready, just be patient. I just ask you to be patient. And we heard your comments, so that's about all I've got to. That's the main thing that happens right now. And then come September, I'm just giving you a heads up because it's brought up. Y'all will see the reappraisal plan that y'all have to approve before September. We'll have it to you before September because we have to get it approved. So that'll come up. Before June, July meeting. So that will be coming up, and just to get the board ahead of that, so some of those things can be looked at. And we're working through our active lawsuits and our arbitrations. Our attorney that represents, that works with Bruce down in Austin that does our litigation. He told us, he told me years ago, they're going to finally figure out who Johnson County is. The agents and the attorneys from Tarrant and Dallas and all, and that we would be getting more lawsuits. And he's right. So that's all I've got to report. Amy's got her part on customer service and the calls and the mapping and all that. So that's all I have to report.
We haven't had as many calls and people come in this year as we did last year. That's not to say we haven't had a lot. We've had a lot. But whenever you want to speak to an appraiser, sometimes it's best to come in to talk to an appraiser. Come in first thing in the morning as it gets later in the day. More people come in, it's a little bit harder, it gets a little bit more crowded. But whenever someone calls in and wants a phone call back, then we have our staff of appraisers who are going through and calling people back in the order that they called in. And so they're calling this one number, and if you don't answer that call, then they're going on to the next call. And so then when you call back, it becomes phone tag. And it's really difficult to get all of those phone calls taken care of when we're just playing phone tag. And so if you do call and you're expecting a phone call back, please make sure that your phone is not set to ignore unknown callers. because that happens more frequently than you would realize. And do try to take that phone call. Now, the appraisers have been calling people back within an hour or two this year. It's really much faster than we've had in the past. And so, and you know, we haven't had any complaints, but I know that, you know, people just don't know what to expect when they want to come in and talk to an appraiser. So, come in, talk to them, or if you do want a phone call back, just try to answer that phone. So, other than that, typically we may get 60 phone calls on average a day, and today we had 227 phone calls. So, and like I have 3 people on the phones. So I've got 3 people answering those phone calls. Those 3 people will answer any questions that you may have, and then if you want to speak to an appraiser, they'll log it, and then the appraisers call back. And so please be patient with us as we, you know, are handling this volume. It's nothing new for us, but sometimes people don't understand why we can't help them immediately. So we're doing all that we can, and just be patient with us.
And also, one of the things I'd like to report, Bruce and the PLO and our staff, we're working on a complaint, making a better complaint system. So for ARB, but we'll also be looking at how to complain to the appraisal district about something. So we've got a small thing in our complaint deal, but we had someone come in and talk to us, and we wanted to know what was going on, because you get open records, and you want to understand, okay, what are you talking about and all this? Because you can't ask anybody, why do you want that? So you don't do that. But we had a situation where someone came in and we listened and wrote down, and we're in the process of working on a better complaint system for ARB if you got a complaint with them at the TLO. So we're working together, like Ms. Allen had said, with Bruce, and we're going to come up with a way, and that'll be coming out in the near future. We're just letting you know we're working on something to make it better if something's wrong. So just wanted to let you know that, and like I say, appreciate everybody coming out. We listen. I know sometimes people don't think down in office we listen or we care. We do. We're not going to let you go.
The feedback you're talking about, when somebody files a protest, they send before the ARB, whatever action is taken is taken. Is there like a feedback form, so they can do an evaluation of the effort?
Yes, they have to do it. There's a survey.
Good.
Yes.
Where is the survey?
If it's handed to them as a hearing, I believe.
It's online. Okay.
And it's also.
It's not for the customers that come in and it's informal discussions or call in on the phone.
Yeah, that's what we're working on, to give something like that.
To have it clearly on the website so that everybody will be able to see it, understand the process, and put their concerns in writing so that the board can see it.
Do we have access to that kind of information? Do we have access to that kind of information?
When they file their a survey, like ARB survey, we send it to the comptroller, we can get the information.
Okay, just one.
Yeah.
Do people actually fill the survey out?
A lot of them do, yes, right there.
Some don't. Okay.
But some people do, some people don't.
I have a copy of a last one if you want to look at it.
Of the survey?
Yes, it's from the comptroller.
Oh, okay. And so we could set up surveys for customer service when we call in?
We can.
I mean, I know we have to be careful with questions. We
We want to bog everybody down.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. It'd be automated though. like we do when we call into other customer service areas. And will you stay on the line to answer a quick survey? Don't get design questions where it's not, because I know people call in and they're upset anyway, so we certainly don't want to lead them to give anyone a bad review because of that. So we would give you a couple of questions.
Okay. So,
Anything else, or is that's it? That's it. Yeah, we don't have an executive session. All right, next meeting date is June 20th. June 6th. Keep me honest. Anything else from the board? Comments, questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move we adjourn. I was second.
All in favor? I also move that.
See, good man. How are you doing?